You ever have one of those weeks where you look at your life and think, this cannot be real, right? Like the universe is punking me, or I'm stuck inside some dystopian sitcom where the punchline is always just out of reach. Well, that was me. Calvin Smith, 42, divorced, clinging to my sanity by a thread. And as of one particularly toxic Tuesday morning, the owner of 3 massive construction vehicles parked so tight in my garage, the door wouldn't close. Diesel fumes choking my house, 18 grand worth of tools, locked behind literal tons of spite. And out in my driveway, there she was, Karen Whitfield, HOA president, local tyrant. Clipboard hoisted like a battle flag, grinning as if she'd just conquered the world. "You know, Mr. Smith," she said, "maybe next time you'll remember to obey the landscaping rules." She spun on her pristine white sneakers, triumphant. "Huge mistake, Karen." I smiled, walked over, and dropped that garage door with a click, locked it from the inside. Her face, a masterpiece, went from smug to full panic in under 2 seconds. She started pounding on the metal, shrieking, threatening the world. See, Karen liked to think she knew everything: property law, HOA, bylaws, even my own garage door system. But there's always a detail people like her miss. There's always a wire they forget to check. And as she screamed for the authorities, I wondered, what would you do if someone hijacked your life and laughed about it? Because what happened next, let me tell you, was the most satisfying twist I've ever engineered. But hey, let me back up 6 months and explain how a bunch of wildflowers nearly ruined my life and why that moment at the garage door tasted like sweet, perfect revenge. So like I said, I'm Calvin. After my marriage blew up, I needed quiet somewhere to piece myself back together, somewhere close to my daughter Riley for our weekends. Pinewood Estates, that's the neighborhood. Looked perfect, 1970s ranch houses, big trees, neighbors who mostly just wanted to grill in peace. What sold me: the garage, big enough for my electrical workshop, all my tools, the van, everything that made me after the divorce. The smell of sawdust and metal shavings became my therapy. Riley loved it too. She'd come over, help organize sockets and wires, learn how to use a voltage meter, all those little things that made us feel like a team. The neighborhood seemed chill. Most people were retirees or working folks, blue-collar tech people moving in. You'd see the same morning rhythms: coffee brewing at 6 sprinklers, hissing lawnmowers, humming like some suburban symphony. There's an HOA always is, right? $85 a month seemed reasonable for trimmed hedges and holiday lights, but gentrification was creeping in. Suddenly, you've got tech bros in their Priuses side-eyeing the original families with their pickup trucks, and I kid you not, actual pink plastic flamingos. Most folks rolled with it. Most folks weren't Karen Whitfield. Picture her, 58, retired insurance adjuster, hair the color of printer paper, personality of a tax audit. Her lawn looked fake, every blade 2 inches tall, never a single dandelion. White Lexus parked like she measured it with a laser. Karen had been HOA board president 6 years running, and she wielded that title like she was mayor of a small city. Anything that didn't fit her vision, wrong color mailbox, too many lawn gnomes, anything that dared to be a little different, she came after it with a vengeance. And apparently divorced electricians with wildflower gardens made her list. Because I planted native flowers in my yard: California poppies, lupines, stuff that saved water, helped bees looked amazing on a June morning. Not weed, not trash. Wildflowers. For a minute it was peaceful. Riley picking bouquets, bees humming. Then one morning I find this fancy envelope on my door. Violation notice. Non-conforming landscaping disrupts neighborhood aesthetic harmony. I'm ordered to rip it out and plant appropriate turf grass or pay $50 a day. $50 per day for saving water. That night I dig out the original HOA documents, pages and pages of legalese by the blue light of my laptop. No mention of a ban on native plants. In fact, the founding charter actually encouraged environmentally conscious landscaping. But Karen, she'd rewritten aesthetic harmony to mean every yard should look like the master's. I called the HOA. "Which bylaw am I violating?" I asked. There's this pause so long I could hear her grinding her teeth through the phone. "The general aesthetic provision," she said. "Show me the section number, please." "Maybe you'd be happier somewhere with looser standards," she snapped and hung up. That's when I knew. This wasn't about landscaping. This was about Karen deciding I didn't belong in her kingdom. The next day I caught her across the street snapping photos, my van, my yard, even my mailbox. Just ensuring community compliance, she chirped. Every morning she was there, clipboard in hand, perfume cloud floating over, sometimes dragging along poor Mrs. Henderson from down the street. Henderson followed Karen like a puppy, probably because Karen had her own dirt on her. Riley called it the mean lady's stink cloud. And she wasn't wrong. It wasn't just my flowers, though. Karen started on my work van. Commercial vehicles are prohibited in residential driveways overnight, she announced one morning. Thing is, I know a little about how rules work. I set up cameras, started documenting everything. Turns out Mrs. Garcia had a yard full of lavender. The Patels had a rock garden. And Mrs. Henderson, Karen's own sidekick, had hedges where the lawn should be. None of them got violation notices. I took photos, wrote down dates, GPS, the works. If Karen wanted a war, I'd give her one. Then she called in the county, said I was running an unlicensed business out of my garage. Came home to find an inspector poking around looking all serious. Someone reported illegal commercial activity, he said. I walked him through, showed permits, explained everything. He shook his head. You're one of the cleanest operations I've seen. Whoever called this in has done it 4 times this week. Karen had just handed me the proof I needed, official county documentation. Harassment, not real enforcement. But the part that gutted me was Riley asking Dad, are we in trouble? Why does that lady keep taking pictures? That's when it stopped being about flowers. That's when I realized Karen wasn't targeting my landscaping or my van. She was targeting me. The divorced dad. The blue-collar guy who didn't fit her idea of Pinewood Estates. I got serious. And Karen, well, she escalated. 2 weeks later, I wake up to the sound of engines shaking the house. Out front, a dump truck, a bobcat, a massive trailer, all parked in front of my place. Karen waltzes up, all official, holding her clipboard and a work order. Emergency staging for community maintenance, she says. We're improving landscaping at the park. Her nephew, Surprise, runs the company. Nepotism, nah, just family values. Funny thing, though. The timing was perfect right when I needed to get my tools for a huge job. Coincidence. In Karen's world, nothing is. Diesel fumes everywhere. Equipment blocked the garage. Then the trailer. Then a wood chipper. Sounded like a monster truck rally all day and night. And I wasn't the only one annoyed. Mrs. Rodriguez complained about her asthma. Mr. Thompson said a fire truck couldn't get through. Suddenly, it wasn't just me. Karen was making the whole block miserable to force me to give up my flowers. So I did the smart thing. I started talking. First with Mrs. Rodriguez, who'd been fined for her mailbox color being 1 shade off. Then Thompson, his fence stain was too brown. The more people I talked to, the more stories I heard. 8 families, all targeted. All, you'll notice, not exactly Karen's favorite demographic. We started meeting at Rodriguez Family Cafe, a safe space with bottomless coffee and zero Karen. But Karen caught wind. Next day, every attendee got violation notices, decorative plants, urgent fence repairs, my wildflowers, now safety hazards. Then Karen really lost it, had Mrs. Rodriguez's Honda Civic towed for a tiny business decal. And who ran the towing company? Her nephew, Danny. $300 out of Rodriguez's pocket for a violation that didn't exist. I found Mrs. Rodriguez crying on her steps, clutching the impound slip. 20 years in this neighborhood, brought to tears by Karen's pettiness. That's when we knew this wasn't about standards. This was about power and profit. But Karen overplayed her hand. The more she threatened, the more neighbors rallied together. Suddenly, my cameras had footage of her nephew's trucks, double-parked, blocking hydrants, violations galore. Patel, a board member and software engineer, got me the original HOA documents. Turns out Karen was never supposed to award contracts to family. Needed board approval. And she'd forged minutes, faked votes, backdated deals to her nephew. Fraud. Embezzlement. Tax evasion. She had a secret rental in her garage collecting cash, not paying taxes. The self-declared queen of rules was breaking all of them. The twist. Her loyal lapdog, Mrs. Henderson, showed up at one of our meetings trembling. Turns out Karen had blackmailed her, threatened code violations, unless she spied on us. The woman had files, photos, reports, even neighbors' financial info. Blackmail, pure and simple. Karen's insurance policy. Sarah Thompson, the retired mechanic's daughter, wrote for the regional paper. She started investigating HOA corruption, embezzlement, the works. The more we dug, the uglier it got. Karen was using association funds to pay her lawyers to bribe witnesses, even to print those intimidating property value impact letters she left on our doors. Then Karen went nuclear, slapped me with a restraining order for harassment, sent lawyers to threaten me, claimed I was organizing an insurrection. Good luck, Karen. All she did was give me more evidence, more fuel for the fire. We hit critical mass. 74 neighbors signed a petition to remove her. Media coverage exposed the scam. County inspectors lined up to hit her with code violations. And when the sheriff arrived, sirens blaring, half the neighborhood watching, I handed over every scrap of evidence. Blocking my garage was criminal obstruction. Her trucks got towed. Her secret apartment was condemned. The DA opened a case for embezzlement. And when Karen tried to scream about community standards, I just pressed my garage door opener. It whirred to life because, see, I'd fixed her sabotage the first night. I'm an electrician, Karen. I wire things. Your nephew's tricks are nothing. You ever hear the sound of relief? It's a whole neighborhood laughing together as a bully finally gets what's coming. Thompson handed Karen the petition for her removal. Sarah asked on camera about the stolen HOA funds. Karen tried to run literally. Never seen someone in a pastel cardigan move so fast. 6 months later, Pinewood Estates is blooming. Wildflowers everywhere. My garage is the community workshop, neighbors fixing bikes, learning wiring, sharing stories. Riley runs point, greeting new families. Mrs. Rodriguez's business is thriving, her tamales the best I've ever tasted. Sarah's articles won awards and sparked new laws for HOA transparency statewide. The scholarship fund we started with Karen's overcharges helps kids become electricians and plumbers, real community builders. And Karen paid $43,000 in fines, taxes, and restitution. Moved to a condo in Arizona. I heard she keeps to herself now. But the real victory is what you can't put a price on. People talk, help each other. Kids run wild in yards that used to be too messy. Power's not about titles or clipboards. It's about connection. Choosing to take care of each other no matter what bullies try to build. Looking back, I realized the best revenge isn't crushing your enemy. It's building something better than they ever could. Karen thought she owned this neighborhood. But you can't own a community. You can only serve one or destroy one. We chose to serve, and it saved us all. So yeah, Calvin Smith locked Karen Whitfield out of her own trap and watched 6 years of manufactured authority crumble in an afternoon. 3 trucks, $18,000 in lost business, and one HOA tyrant who forgot the golden rule: real power belongs to the people, not the bullies. And you know what really gets me? I could have caved, could have moved away, could have become the angry neighbor Karen needed me to be. But instead, I treated her harassment like an electrical problem, diagnosed, documented, outlasted. When I started keeping records and building alliances, this stopped being about flowers and became about democracy. Karen's whole scam relied on us being isolated and scared. But when neighbors talk, her fake authority evaporates. Maybe your HOA follows the rules, but every current starts with someone testing boundaries, seeing what people will tolerate. The best time to push back, even after they've taken over, is the very first overreach. How many of you have just paid a ridiculous fine because fighting seemed harder, or had a run-in with a neighborhood tyrant? Drop your wildest HOA or local power trip story below. Hit subscribe for more David versus Goliath wins, and next week wait till you hear about the neighbor who caught their HOA literally stealing mail. But remember, no one has more power than you give them. Sometimes the only thing standing between justice and a bully is one person willing to flip the right switch. So what do you think? Where's the line between community order and personal freedom? When does enforcement become abuse, and how would you handle it? I'm dying to hear your stories. Let's talk about what real justice, real community actually looks like, because sometimes the best comeback is simply building the world you wish you had.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.